Good evening, and welcome once again to the ORSUS Reading Room. In this episode, Beside the Fire, we have a soldier. That statement alone hardly narrows the field. Over the course of 3,000 years, there have been rather a lot of them. My guest tonight has fought beneath the walls of Jerusalem, marched through the mud of Flanders, hunted submarines in the Atlantic, crossed the Libyan desert with the SAS, and in more recent years has demonstrated an alarming ability to consume tea and biscuits in quantities that would concern a medical professional. He is known to the Equus Bellici as Hector. Most of us simply call him Dusty. Good evening, Dusty.
Evening, Roger. Nice introduction. Only minor correction. The medical professionals stopped being concerned years ago. They've accepted defeat.
I suspected as much. Tell me, Dusty, you've been many men. Godfrey St. Omer, George Everett, Giles Miller, Anders Lassen, David Miller. Who are you, really?
Well, that's a bloody deep question to start with. I thought we'd ease in gently. Maybe discuss tea or rugby or whether the French can be trusted.
Can they?
Well, it depends which century. Who are you? Honestly, I haven't the faintest idea. Names change, uniforms change, everyone says that. Weapons change. The jokes stay roughly the same, though, which I suppose is rather the point with me. But the answer is simple. I'm a sapper. Always have been, always will be. A sapper. Of course, people think engineers build things. That's only half the job. The real skill is understanding how things come apart. Bridges, fortresses, armies, ideas, empires. Same principles, different materials.
You have seen a great many empires come apart. Every single one. And they all think they're different. That's the funny bit. Romans, Normans, French, British, Americans, all convinced history starts with them. None of them read enough books. William once described you as the only man he knows capable of insulting an entire civilization before breakfast. Well, that's a bit unfair. Sometimes I wait until 11. Yes. You fought in some of the most famous battles in history. Waterloo, Messines, the Western Desert. Which was the most important? None of them.
Really?
Yes, battles get far too much attention. History books love battles. The real stories always, for me, is logistics. Food, fuel, roads, ships, communications. You know, the boring stuff. People say that they get told at Sandhurst, food all right, mail getting through, feet okay, carry on. Yeah, but the really serious business is the fellow carrying ammunition wins more wars than the fellow carrying the speeches. Well, I think William and Hugo would agree with that. Well, I think they agree with everything. Eventually, takes them both a while sometimes. Well, Hugo? I think Hugo disagrees professionally. It's his hobby. You've known them both for centuries. Yes, far too long. What keeps the three of you together? Oh, trust. Nothing cleverer than that. Trust isn't built by victories. It's built by disasters. You learn who people are when everything goes wrong. And we've had 3,000 years of things going wrong. You haven't... you often seem the most cheerful member of the organisation. Well, again, that's because somebody has to be. That's my bloody phone. Wait. My apologies. That was, well, never mind. Sorry, Dusty, you were saying. Yes. Well, that's, you were talking about cheerfulness, yes. Well, that's because somebody has to be. You spend enough time staring into darkness and eventually you learn a trick. That's to laugh at it. Not because it isn't serious, because it is. The universe doesn't care whether you're frightened. You might as well have a sense of humour. There is a line often associated with you. They do not age, they do not die. What is the greatest burden of immortality? The funerals, easy answer. Not wars, not wounds, not enemies. Funerals. You meet extraordinary people, then one day they're gone. You carry on, but that's the bit nobody talks about. And yet you still make friends. Well, what's the alternative? Become Augustine. No thanks. The whole point is... the whole point of living is people. Otherwise, you're just counting years. You spent much of your modern military career refusing a commission. Why? Well, because somebody has to know how things actually work. Officers are important, don't get me wrong. Some of my best friends are officers, William included. But if everybody becomes management, nothing gets done. There speaks the regimental sergeant major. There speaks a man who's watched too many young officers discover reality. What advice would you give to a young soldier? Oh, easy. Read. Read everything. History, poetry, science, philosophy. The moment somebody convinces you there is only one book worth reading, start running, and fast. That sounds suspiciously like the philosophy of the Equus Bellici. Maybe. Or maybe it's just common sense. The world is complicated. Often, anyone offering simple answers usually wants something. One final question. After everything you've seen, 3,000 years, all the wars, all the victories, all the failures, what gives you hope? Oh, same thing that always has. People. Well, not governments, not institutions, certainly. People. Most folk are decent, they just don't make the newspapers. History looks terrible because nobody writes book about ordinary days. Most days are ordinary. People helping each other, building things, raising families, trying their best. Well, that's civilization. The rest is noise. A fitting place to end. Thank you, Dusty. A pleasure. Now, are we finished? Why? Because you've got biscuits in somewhere in this room and I intend to find them. Good night. Good night. And remember, never trust anyone who only reads one book. Good night to you all, and I hope to see you again on Chats by the Fireside.